We're going to now turn to the awards part of this before we break for lunch. And I'm going to call on Glenn Fleissing to present the first award.
The first award of our two awards is called the James R. Andrews Award for Excellence in Baseball Sports Medicine. This is a prestigious award we give out every year, starting with, does this thing work? Wrong one. Starting with, it's presented every year to an individual or an organization that has advanced the field of research, medical treatment, injury prevention, or on-field care for baseball. And you can see 20 years ago, we gave it to Dr. Andrews, the first award, and you can see this prestigious list, many of these people who are in this room today. And before I call up the person who's going to win it this year, I want to give you a little background about him. This year's winner is Rick Peterson. And Rick Peterson has been a professional baseball coach for 30 years. He started in 1984. And but the story really gets interesting about 1989. In 1989, ASMI was 2 years old, and Dr. Andrews and Dr. Dillman and I started to say this is time to start studying baseball pitching biomechanics. And so Dr. Andrews knows some people in baseball, and he talked to the Chicago White Sox because the Birmingham Barons are a Chicago White Sox affiliate. And Dr. Andrews talked to them and said, can we start to work with the Chicago White Sox? The Chicago White Sox made available their pitchers and their young pitching coach, a guy named Rick Peterson. And Rick came in, and he had been a baseball coach for 5 years. And for the next 3 years, Dr. Andrews, myself, Rick, our new physical therapist, Kevin Wilk, who joined us that year, started thinking and looking at baseball pitchers and learning a lot from each other. Rick says he was a student those 3 years, and we were all students of each other, and we figured out a lot. And frankly, from those 3 years, Rick's career started to skyrocket. He worked his way up the Chicago White Sox organization, moved on to the Blue Jays, and on to the Oakland A's. From that time, 1989, we continued to have some good progress from those initial years and started to do some nice biomechanical research. And then Dr. Andrews, about 2001, I think, he challenged me, and he said, okay, we've been talking about understanding the biomechanics of injury and preventing injuries. And Dr. Andrews, I don't know if you remember, but you said, you know, we have to really stop doing lip service and really start to prevent injuries. And you challenged me.
Well, I told you that the other day.
You told me that the other day also, yeah. You still tell me that. And so we, it was a hard challenge, and we tried to reach out to major league teams. But by coincidence, I don't know if great minds think alike, but Rick Peterson, a voice from the past, called right about then and said, hey, I'm with the Oakland A's now, and our general manager, Billy Bean, is trying to do some new things. You know, we all would find out this is what the Moneyball thing was about, and trying to use science. And Rick has been using science at this point for 10, 15 years. And Rick said, can we bring some healthy pitchers over to the biomechanics lab for testing, which was perfect because you had just asked if we could start testing healthy pitchers. He brought over a couple young pitchers named Tim Hudson and Barry Zito, who Rick was working with, and we did well. Barry Zito won the Cy Young Award that year, and Rick, from that point on, from 2001, 2002, no coach has helped more people or more successful people in professional baseball using biomechanics and science than Rick Peterson. So it's an honor to welcome up Rick Peterson, who's helped Major League Baseball players and also youth through his three-piece sports.
Thank you so much. This is like truly an honor and a privilege. And I have to tell you, as Glenn told the story in 1989, right before we left for spring training, Larry Himes, who was the GM of the White Sox at the time, called me in the office. And it was my first year with the White Sox. And he said, Rick, listen, when you get to Birmingham, they're going to open up this ASMI lab with Dr. Andrews and Dr. Fleissig and Dr. Dillman and Kevin. And he said, you need to start taking pictures in there for biomechanical analysis. And I'd grown up in a baseball family. My dad was the GM of the Pirates during the 1979 We Are family. So, you know, I've had a uniform on since I've been 2. And I remember walking out of the office. I got in the hallway. I was by myself, and I remember walking around going, oh, my God, what the hell did I get myself into? This isn't baseball. Are you kidding me? And I was the first person to walk in that lab. And I can remember early on, because biomechanics was not my expertise in my educational background. I have a degree in sports psychology. So as we got the first analysis back, and Glenn would pull me aside, he said, listen, Rick, his stride length is too short, the bend of the knee's too firm at foot contact, it collapses at ball release, and his hip rotation velocities are only 410 degrees per second. I go, wow, really, Glenn? What the hell does that mean? I said, Glenn, I have no idea what that means. I said, what do you do with that? He says, I don't know, I'm not a pitching coach, you tell me. So it took literally 3 years of really studying. It was like getting your doctorate degree in mechanics and biomechanics. And literally about 3 years went by before literally the apple fell off the tree, and I went like, holy geez, this is gravity. I finally get it. And then we finally understood, what do you do when you get the analysis back? If the stride length is too short or the bend of the knee is too soft at foot contact or at ball release, how do you correct that? And we did a whole science around this, and now we finally feel like we've come to a solution. And my real quest, it's because it really is my life's work, and my whole career, my whole life turned around in 1989 when I walked in the doors of ASMI. And we finally got into the amateur market, and we now can do analysis, literally, through the internet, where you can film a pitcher, an amateur pitcher, anywhere in the world, upload it to the website, and you'll get 14 measurements that we've worked with Dr. Andrews and Dr. Fleisig in order to come up with a solution for these injuries. So this is a real honor and a privilege, and I thank everybody for their patience, for Dr. Seuss here trying to figure this out. Thank you.